Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Mindfully Gay podcast. I'm John,
And I'm Jerry.
and we are right smack dab in the middle of Pride Month. And as of the recording of this episode, we have already celebrated our Pride. So happy Pride. But happy Pride to the rest of the country and the rest of the world who's going to be celebrating as we're coming up on the anniversary of Stonewall and all the parades and festivals and all of that. So we wanted to continue our conversation about Pride.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, one of the things that kind of came up was, just pride and rituals. More specifically, coming out in the coming out process. We've talked about coming out many times on this podcast, but we thought it would be a good time to revisit, especially around Pride, and kind of combine this element of ritual and making the process of coming out perhaps a celebratory thing or a community or just something that's a little bit less superficial and more just in depth and has meaning and I want to say flavor and gumption. I'm going to go to my food things, my food analogies. So how about that as a kind of a roll off?
Okay, let's do it. Well, I think we've talked about this in other podcasts before. And I was thinking about this as I was driving over, right? Many cultures and traditions embrace rites of passage,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so Melodoma Somé, who has been one of our elders who's passed on, wrote a book called Of Water and Spirit. And water was his, in the Dagra community, everyone's aligned with an element clan. And each clan has certain responsibilities and obligations. And so Of Water and Spirit is his initial book that covers his initiation process, which marked his going from boyhood to manship. Manhood. Yeah. And and this isn't unique to the Dagra people. I mean, Santerian traditions, Yoruba traditions, lots of traditions honor these transitions. Even here in Utah, in Mormonism, if you are when you're a 12-year-old male, you get ordained as holding certain priesthood responsibilities in the church.
Right.
And it's ritualistically acknowledged. And so it's always kind of been my fantasy or my idea of what would a rite of passage look like in terms of coming out?
Exactly.
I also think Pride, for anyone who is out or has, lived, what would happen if Pride or a component of Pride had a ceremonial, ritualistic approach to it that gave substance and texture to Pride?
Yes, absolutely. What stands out in the example you just said, but something you mentioned in our last episode was the community where a woman is pregnant and the community, the tribe, the people come around and there's a whole ceremony around calling on the ancestors and asking, what are the gifts that this unborn child will soon bring to the community, to the world. And we want to celebrate that. We want to honor that and support that as this new life and these new gifts are generated. And I just found that to be so profound. Could that be replicated somehow in the gay community, especially around Pride and around coming out?
Yeah.
Celebrating the gifts and acknowledging those gifts and somehow proclaiming them as this is your place in the world and the gifts that we are going to celebrate and support as you move forward in this kind of this new time in your life, having come out of the closet.
Yeah. Part of the story of that ritual from Melodoma is there's also a naming ceremony.
Oh, wow.
Where the elders name you. And the name is meant to be an amplification of your sacred duty to the community.
Mm-hmm.
So Melodoma, I believe his name translated making friends with the stranger.
Mm-hmm.
And so consequently, when he reached a particular age, his elders sent him out into the world to talk to strangers about their indigenous technologies.
Wow.
And and that community supported him in that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm sure they supported him with resources, finances. He frequently would go back to his community to talk with the elders to get some enlightenment that he would bring back to where he was teaching here in the westernized world.
Wow.
And as you were talking, I was thinking, and I'll give you an example that you can relate to, and I don't understand the full technology of this, and so maybe my radical fairy friends can inform us, but a lot of radical fairies go by a name.
Yeah, right.
So we both know Sierra.
Yeah.
Sierra's a friend of ours and has participated, but his fairy name is Mountain Spirit.
Mm-hmm.
And when a fairy is given a name, I think in some regards, it's about stepping into a manifestation of what that means.
Yes. Yeah.
So I know fairies who've gone through several names,
Mm-hmm.
but and I'm not sure if it's ritualistically given or people just assume it. But right, fairies kind of have amplified that concept.
Right. I forgot about that process and concept. But because I also think about, the name that you were given in the
native circles.
Yeah. So I think it seems like it works in several ways. You may adopt your own name, or the community might give you a name based on the gifts that you share and whatnot. Or, even just like your peers or friends, just like you get a nickname,
Yeah. And we live up to it.
And we kind of live up to it, right?
I have a friend who named their dog Damien.
Uh-huh.
And I said, I hope he doesn't live up to that name.
Oh, wow.
So, excuse me. So there's some examples of this. And maybe we should start with coming out, because I think the ritual that I've been creating for the last 2 weeks might be more of a pride ritual.
Okay.
So you said you had some ideas.
I have some ideas too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the first thought, since we're going to be talking about coming out a little bit, we did mention how, kind of the whole coming out process up until the point of coming out, whether it's to yourself or out to actually other people, can be a lonely process, or I'll just say it's a solo process, right? You're kind of doing all this introspection just kind of on your own. You might be talking to other people, but probably not for the sake of this discussion. That it's a kind of a solo process until you're finally ready to, open that door and declare, I'm gay, I'm lesbian, I'm trans. And so when I think about kind of the celebratory part of that, like the pride part of that, like, well, who would you invite? Yourself? Because it's been a solo party up until that point, yeah. Right? And so what got me thinking was, after kind of that coming out, and maybe you start, you develop some close ties or friendships and allyship and things like that, that maybe somewhere down the line, maybe you declare a day that's your coming out day, or I don't know, but just a day that becomes your
birthday.
Your birthday, exactly. Because that's what I was thinking about, a birthday that you get to celebrate in the way that you want, basically. Mm-hmm. So that was kind of my initial thoughts. Solo until public, and then declaring a birthday.
That's nice. We can have a coming out cake. That's lavender icing.
Right.
With confetti on it.
Right. And that's some other thoughts, but those are just kind of the initial thoughts. What are some of your kind of initial things.
Well, when you were talking, I was thinking, I do know some people who kind of mark their coming out day. Or maybe they remember their first Pride event, right? Here's what I want to say a little bit about my experience in, for 30 years, I've run ritual and ceremony for lots of people, not just gay folks. But on occasion, I may run a sacred circle that's just all gay men, or we might do a queer lodge, right? And sometimes that's been gays and lesbians. Sometimes that's been everyone across the queer continuum. Sometimes it's just been gay men. And I have been running lodges for over 20 years with lots of different people and communities.
Right.
But whenever I draw together a queer lodge, the energy, the fluidity of the ceremony is unique. I'm not going to say it's better, but I would say it's unique. And it's almost as if the healing, transformative power of those rituals becomes much more tangible with those folks. I'm thinking about times when you remember the song I sing, Dear One, Queer Ones?
Yeah.
Right? So there's a song that I learned from my fairy friends. And I don't know, should I sing it?
Just a little piece of it.
It's a short song.
Yeah.
But it basically is, I can't believe I'm going to do this. The song is, Dear ones, queer ones, I have something I want to tell you. You have given me such pleasure. I love you so.
Right.
And the word pleasure, when I'm in lodge, I'll switch it out.
Yeah.
And when people catch up with that song, and when we're all singing it, something very magical happens, because here's what I think is happening. That song invites us to think about pleasure, joy, community, connection, whatever you want to put, whatever word you put in there.
Right.
But it diversifies and gives a beautiful context of the existence. And so when we've had a ceremony, that song is one of many, but when I bring that out, I just feel a softening of the energy. And you can almost feel a sense of realization come into people's consciousness, which then liberates this energy that we can direct towards our prayers, towards our magic, towards whatever we're trying to manifest.
Right.
So I want to offer that as a template of when I think about creating ritualistic space. And I'm thinking at the last National Coming Out Day, and it's usually in October,
right,
we did a queer lodge, which we should schedule another one here soon. But we had like 12, 15 guys show up. And even though it was National Coming Out Day, we didn't really fully organize how the ritual could take place. So we just opted for a lodge. And that worked really well. But if I were creating something ritualist, it's almost as if I would, coming out kind of a ritual, I would want to create some kind of ornate space where maybe there's a veil or there's a portal that someone might walk through.
Right.
And in a lot of Melodoma's rituals, a component was the value of community. And so you might go do a fire ritual. You're engaging the ritual as an individual, but as you come back from the ritual, you're greeted by community.
Yes.
Literally, people applaud, they hug you because they know you just went through an initiation.
Yeah.
And they're excited to see who you are now. And so I see that as a component that we kind of start at this one space, go through this veil, and as we come through, we're greeted by the beauty and the magic of this queer community that's there to embrace and nurture you.
Right.
And so when I think of a coming out ritual, I may think of something like that. Then that becomes like the birthday, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Or the day of authentication.
Uh-huh.
Worthy to put on the calendar.
Exactly.
Like I know how I came out, but I can't tell you the day or time it happened. And I know there were certain times where maybe the first time I went to a gay club or went, somewhere that was an initiation, right? I felt like I should have shown up knowing something. And I think a coming out ritual, maybe the space before going through the veil is that space of understanding, that space of being educated by your queer mentors who came before you.
Yeah.
And this acknowledgement that I now step into the space of who I am, then I come through this veil and there's my community. We need a pride booth.
I'm getting chills just thinking about it because I can see all of that. Because we did a piece of that, but just to broaden that whole ceremonial process, because I can see kind of like this circle of individuals maybe talking about those various coming out moments, those key elements.
Yeah.
Your first bar that you went to, or the first person that you told, or just things like that, just to kind of unfold all of that and just kind of bring that out into the open and share your process, and definitely sharing your gifts and talents, even the hardships and all the things that kind of went into this space, or your process of coming out. But I love that image of, kind of walking, through or into like a, like lodge, a womb, a cave, something that's dark, and you rid yourself of the burdens of, the shadows and the burdens that you had, perhaps not being able to live entirely in your fullest self, and you leave that into the fire and the darkness, and you come back into the light, go through that veil, and there's your people. I love it.
Yeah.
And then, and just to carry on what you just said, then it becomes, you get to declare, your coming out day, whether it's that day of ceremony or a day maybe you do remember. I kind of remember when I came out to my parents. I want to say, because I went home from college. It was Christmas vacation, and I told my parents over Christmas vacation. So it was like December 19th, 20th, something like that.
Yeah.
It's kind of my parent coming out, but I had come out before that to other people. But that was a significant one. I don't know if I would declare that as my coming out day, but you get to decide. The person can kind of decide what becomes that day of authenticity or revelation, or however and whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I really do believe it needs to be celebrated, to have these landmarks and rituals that celebrate our existence, who we are, and how you show up in the world, and what you're meant to be in the world.
Maybe what we do is we set up quarterly coming out days, and like let's say June will be our coming out ritual day, and people can renew their vows or they can declare for the first time.
Yeah.
And I sometimes, I think as gay men, we get so harsh and critical with each other about how we show up in the world and how we treat each other on the apps and stuff like that. And I think part of that is because we've not fully embraced our right to exist, legitimized it in our own spiritualistic ways.
Yeah.
And so consequently, we tend to manifest very disordered ways of looking at each other. And so what happens when we normalize it and conceptualize it as something sacred,
Yes.
as a rite of passage,
Right.
and involve a communal connectedness in doing that.
Because I think when that happens, then what falls away is, shame and guilt and fear. All that stuff doesn't really align with that kind of expression of self, right?
Yeah, because I think what happens a lot of times is we come out, and then the next question is, where are my people?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, Grinder,
Mm-hmm.
which is good for what it's good for,
Right.
but it doesn't necessarily endorse. I cannot, if I were to tell you what's the number one thing that people come into my office for, is they're looking for community and connection.
Right.
And
Right.
even when it's in front of them, there is a lot of fear and hesitation in stepping into that. And so this is a huge issue. And I think, Melodoma used to lament that when he was here in the Westernized States, the absence of ritual space,
Yes.
the absence
Right.
of connectedness to the natural world. And
Mm-hmm.
and then he said the byproduct is a lot of the social ills that we see is because we have removed ourselves from the connectedness of our history, our ancestry, etc.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that, gosh, so many things are going through my mind, but the components I think within our community that touches on some of those rites of passage are already established groups. I'm thinking of, like, we had Mr. X on, and just the leather community. There's a whole kind of ritual and process of, becoming a, Mr. Leather of wherever you live and in your obligations, responsibilities. But didn't you go to the coronation or the the sashing of
I saw his anointing.
His anointing. I mean, but there was a celebration, right?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, and even like you see that in there's the gay rodeo. There's certainly drag and the whole royal court process.
And here's what I'm going to say about that Mr. Leather event. There was nothing extraordinary that happened. What I so appreciated is there was a celebration of all types of bodies,
Yes,
all ages, even in this case, gender and gender expression and gender identity.
Wow.
Even the performance and the engagement was like, okay, well, this is marginal. But there was an enthusiasm from the crowd to support that poorly lip sync song or the lame answers, right? But to me, I saw this layer and this beauty of acceptance that I'll go back to Mr. Leather this year,
right?
Just because I want to be in an environment that's affirming at that level.
Yeah. See,
I don't wear leather. I'm not into it. It's not my thing. But I appreciated the medicine that was being communicated.
Exactly. And that's the essence of it. That's the essence of it. Whether it's that kind of celebration and ceremony, a royal court, drag community, all these kind of individual communities, we can use those as templates in a way to bring out even more. Because I see, like you said earlier, like when you come out, you don't have, where's my people? Oh, Grinder. That is a layer. That is a layer, but I kind of view it as kind of two-dimensional. That's not all of you. It doesn't have to be all of you. And here, now you have an opportunity to celebrate or at least investigate and kind of dig deep. Well, what's the three-dimensional wholeness of you?
Yeah.
If that's a piece, and what else is there? And where can you find that? We hope that Mindfully Gay can be a part of that, threading of figuring out who you are and what you are and why you're here, so that you can feel and experience the fullness of who you are. And like we're saying, create a ritual around it, create a rite of passage around that, a celebration, so that it sticks. And you kind of live up to it.
Yeah.
This is why I'm here. And I deserve to be celebrated. Yes, let's do this.
Hoorah.
Hoorah.
Do you know, I want to switch gears a little bit and talk about a pride ritual that I think could be interesting to talk about.
Ooh, yay.
And I'm going to preface it. When I first started my practice, Brigham Young had just discovered the valley. No. But I started my practice like 30 years ago. And I had this court-ordered program, and this individual who was like 92 years old
Oh, wow.
was engaged in some public lewdness and got referred to me.
Mhm.
And so here I'm sitting with this guy who I think at this point in his life, he was a widow. He had been married to his wife for, 100 years. And but here he was court-ordered. And he identified himself as gay, but I've never acted on it. Right? That was his verbiage.
Sure. Yeah.
And I found that so intriguing. So, he must have been born in the 20s or 30s.
Yeah.
I'm bad with math, but it was back there. And it was so intriguing to listen to him talk about coming of age, knowing that he was gay in a Mormon culture, and how he navigated his life.
Yes.
And it may be very surprising for people to understand that in his coming of age, being gay was illegal. Being gay, the gay bars were often raided.
Yes.
People were jailed. People were hospitalized in mental institutions.
Right.
You ever watch that movie Sordid Lives?
Yes.
Right. And who's that actor? Leslie Jordan.
Leslie Jordan
played Baby George. No,
I don't remember the character's name.
Anyways, but he's in a mental institution because he likes to pretend he's Tammy Wynette.
Love it.
It is a great show.
Yes.
Watch it.
Yes.
But I saw this clip and it reminded me of this because he had this fear that he was going to be institutionalized for the entirety of his life.
Wow.
Because his coming of age, that's what happened to gay people.
That's what happened, right.
And so this client was, sharing with me the gauntlet of living his life and how his choices were not very available to him. And I found it it was such a privilege to work with him and to spend time with him because it offered an interesting perspective that I had not considered as a 30-something-year-old, right? So this is my vision for a pride ritual that I think every queer person could do, but we're going to just focus on gay men.
Okay.
Right? I think it would be so interesting. So you have to visualize the backyard, right? So I have this contained backyard. It's contained by bushes and trees, and it's a very private space, but it feels very open because on the other side of my property line is a golf course.
Right.
So it's not uncommon that we have deer and coyote and other critters come and join us from the golf course, but we have the convenience of a yard.
Right.
And then on the south side of my yard is the sweat lodge, which is kind of in a separate place of my yard and then open green space. And so I imagine in my backyard generational stations.
Ooh.
And there would be a station for the teen years, the 20s, the 30s, the 40s, and I would go up generationally as far as I possibly could. The 60s, the 70s. Wouldn't it be beautiful to have someone there in their 80s and beyond?
Yeah.
And that each station, and we could even vary this, like maybe there's a station that has drag queens. Maybe there's a station that has leather guys. Maybe there's a station that has, different variations of our community. But the participant, and I'll just think about it for myself. So I might go to the teen station. And in a lot of indigenous rituals, when you approach an elder for wisdom or guidance or insight or some kind of medicine work, you take an offering. Maybe it's red cloth and tobacco. Maybe it's a cash offering. Maybe it's a blanket. But you come with a gift. And I might make that gift to you. And I would say, I need you to impart some wisdom. So I might go to that teen station. And for me, I think the teen station would be a reflection and a remembrance. So I was a teenager in the 70s and early 80s. I graduated high school in 82 in rural Michigan. I knew I was gay and tried so hard to repress that part of myself to fit in, to not be harmed. And there was a lot of trepidation. As much as I found Tom Selleck so fucking hot, I couldn't let anyone know.
Farrah Fawcett, Farrah Fawcett, Farrah Fawcett, Farrah Fawcett.
Right? But I might go to that teen station and I may talk to that teenager. And I just may, what wisdom, what might you say to my teenager?
Oh my gosh.
And what might my teenager want to say to you?
Oh my gosh.
And then I might go to my 20s. And for me, I went into the military in my 20s. I dived deeply into Mormonism. I came out at the end of my 20s because my 20s was, here I was in the military, public showers, around really hot guys. And I had to really pump up the hyper masculinity. But my drill sergeants and some of my colleagues saw me as the mama boy, the sissy.
Oh, wow.
And I had so much judgment about that. And so I might go to the station with the 20-year-old and ask them, what advice would you give my 20-year-old today? Wow. What might you inform me? And have that engagement. Then I might go to my 30s and my 40s. And I think it would be so interesting to get up there in my 60s, 70s, and 80s and talking to these people and having this exchange. And maybe I sit down with that leather guy who might otherwise be intimidating to find out, well, what would he say to me? What would the queen say to me? Right? But the way I see this is that we would go through this process and eventually we would all end up in the lodge.
Oh my gosh.
And there is the ceremony, right? Not only do we release all that luggage, but we now integrate the beautiful insights we've offered each other, the wisdom we've offered each other, and we embrace the magic. And then when we come out of that lodge, which is representative of the mother's womb, it's like one of the symbolism is like being born again. You're like coming out of the womb into the world different. And I think what a beautiful way of exploring our history. The intimacy of our history, the accumulation of that history of where we sit today. The fire it would ignite for the future. Because now we can see that, we were so deep in the shadows at some point in our history, and today we can celebrate our sensuality. We can celebrate our community. We can see each other and experience each other's stories. And then bring it into a ritualistic experience in a way that allows this blossoming to happen.
Absolutely. I'm getting chills. I mean, just the entire.
Do you need a sweater?
The entire time you were explaining, I can see it, I can feel it. We have to do this. We have to do this. I think that would be just so important and meaningful. I'm going to get emotional about it because it's just as you have mentioned before, like when you see your clients, especially gay clients, this is exactly what they're searching for.
Yeah.
They're searching for community,
In context.
but stumbling around how to do that and what that might even look like. We can contextualize that for them. We can put it in this format that touches on all these things.
Mhm.
You know, the shadow parts, the um, that whole coming out process and that solo experience, and then to involve community in a way that brings wisdom from all those eras into one space and to celebrate that. It's just, oh my gosh.
It's intergenerational,
Yes.
right? Like, how many times do our little 20-somethings, just, worried about the perverted daddies,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, we need to be conscientious of building the bridges across our generational connections.
Yeah.
Right? And we need to be conscientious in sharing our histories
Mm-hmm.
in the context of where we came from. Could you imagine at the Pride Festival? Salt Lake City has a huge Pride Festival, and we set up these different kind of areas. Imagine if we just had a quarter of the Pride Festival set up, and it could be very eclectic. We could have our trans folks, our lesbians, our gay men, we could set it all up in a way that people are kind of walking through an experience. And maybe at a Pride Festival, the ritual is, the sprinkling of holy water, right? Like, we just sprinkle. It's going to be hot anyway.
It's going to be hot. It's going to be hot. Why not? Yeah.
But we consecrate we create a space where it's like, okay, now you've been anointed, you've been
Yes.
gifted
Yeah.
with the magic.
Exactly. I can see it all. I can see it all. Two things that are crossing my mind, because one of the things that I mentioned in my Tantra classes and trying to explain what it is or what it could be or how I even see it in my mind and how we're going to express it in our classes together. It's like, this is what I say to my students. I say, for me, and hopefully I'm sharing with you, is that if we can see beyond our physical selves, emotional selves, and analytical selves, because we know that that's what we are as humans. We have those parts of self. I believe there's more. I believe there's a spiritual part, a magical part, and if you get to know yourself in that depth of a way, beyond the physical, emotional, and analytical, and see yourself as that magical being, that spiritual being, when you see your wholeness and get to express that and share that and practice that, basically, then you begin to see others in the same way. You start to see someone's spirit. You start to see someone's essence, their magic, etc. And if you can see others in the same way, then you're going to see all things in that way. That's Tantra. But Tantra is just a word, but that's certainly generational. It's certainly multicultural. It's quite cosmic. I mean, you'll see that kind of thing in every culture, that I'm not separate from nature. I am a part of nature. I am nature. I'm not separate from God. I am God. It's finding that bridge and making that connection. I'm no different from you. We're the same. And let's celebrate, like you said, let's bloom and blossom together. Let's share our wisdom with each other, and and cut those, or not cut, actually bridge the gap between the 20s, the 20-somethings, and the 80-somethings. Bring them together. We all have something to share with each other.
Yeah, it makes me a little sad that I see a lot of our queer elders kind of, in fact, there's a documentary about this, but a lot of our queer elders, it's kind of like, once their sexual clout has been spent, they're now alone.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, in most cultures, again, where I've traveled the world, like, elders are esteemed, where the younger folks step in to caretake, to assist, to be available for. Mm-hmm. And part of I had this experience once in Mongolia. I took a group of social work students, Have I told you a story?
Maybe. But go ahead.
We were doing these presentations about what we do in social work in the States. And I had these two students who were all excited about their work in gerontology, working with older folks. And so they went there and did this presentation about assisted living, nursing homes, senior citizen living. And I was sitting there and the interpreters doing what they're doing. And I'm watching the audience in Mongolia.
Right.
And they look like someone just took a crap in the middle of the room.
I bet.
And so I stopped my students and I said, I'm sorry, I'm just kind of watching people and I'm just wondering, are we understanding what we're talking about? Do you get it? And one student spoke up and said, like, this is horrifying. And I said, really, help me understand. He goes, we would never think of sending our elders off.
Away. Yeah.
Our existence is because of them. And our gift to them is to take care of them. I've spent a lot of time with our Shoshone brothers and sisters here in Utah and Idaho.
Yeah.
And when I watch how the young people tend to their elders, helping them out and sitting with them, it's very touching. And I think how interesting that woven in these other cultures is this appreciation of our roots.
Yes.
I don't think this is just a gay and lesbian thing. I think it's an interesting our American culture is built around the idea that once you've stopped participating in the capitalistic system of our country, you're no longer relevant.
Yeah, exactly.
To the point where we'll cut your benefits and blah, 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 right? And I think in our queer community, unfortunately, without being conscious of that, we've done the same thing.
We've done the same thing, yeah.
And we're going to fix that before I'm 80.
Definitely.
I want to say something. You said something about when you talk about tantric, how there's this spiritual part of our life and this emotional part of our life. And I used to do that all the time too. When I would talk about my spirituality, I would say, well, this is what I do in this part of my life. And I got to thinking about that and I thought, my spirituality is not a compartmentalized part of my life. It's a part that I have learned to integrate into my existence.
Yes.
So I'm sitting with you, I'm having ritual. We're connected.
Right.
And I honor your ancestors and I honor mine. And I think it's in my consciousness.
Yeah.
So to me, when I think about these things, I think about giving permission for integration.
I like that.
So that it's synchronistic in all parts of who I am, that these aren't separate compartmentalized places of who I am. And I want to find fluidity in that.
I love that.
And I do think that the reason I think that's important, because I think people, I hear this all the time, being gay is just one part of who I am. It's like, no, it's not. No, it's not. Is black just one part of who you are?
Exactly. Right. I like the word integration. This is me.
Yeah.
It is within the essence of me.
And it's always evolving.
Right. That's what's beautiful too.
Yeah.
Knowing that it continually it evolves and I get to grow with it. It's all encompassing and in a way it's quite liberating. If I remember like, oh wait, I don't have to put on this hat, then that hat, and then that other hat. I can wear all the hats at the same time. And be in every space, in every situation, fully as me. In all of the glory of who I am.
Yeah.
And if we can help folks understand that and realize that the true nature of that, then I think yes, people will rise to their fullest state.
Yeah.
Of being.
Yeah. So isn't it interesting this conversation around how do we ritualistically integrate pride like I feel very energized by this.
I am definitely energized by it. And part of it, I want to say here is because we do have, we have June, we have Pride ceremony, celebrations and festivals and things like that, which is wonderful. I'm grateful that we have a history of that and has continued, and I'm sure it'll just go into the end of time, I believe. And that pride can be every day. It can be in every part of who we are, and the piece of me that really stands out for me um, is actually, certainly the ritual piece, um, and the rites of passage. They all have symbolism. There's things that you do. It may be a cloak that you wear, a candle that you light, a certain flower. I mean, there's just things that are represented visually in the experience. And I grew up Catholic, which is a lot of pomp and what's the word?
Pomp and circumstance.
Yes, and with the robes and the incense and all of that. And a good friend of mine also grew up Catholic, and he ended up being one of my directors because I used to perform and all that. And he celebrates that in a way because it's theater to him. The pictures of the Virgin Mary and the incense and the candles, but it became these symbols to remember where he came from and to celebrate that. And these markers, whether it's First Communion and all these things that we grew up in the Catholic Church, we really don't have that in in our gay culture. We have like this kind of 1 day, 1 month, but what's happening throughout the rest of the year as a way to ritualize and symbolize who we are. So I like these symbols, whether it's, because I'm visualizing at that, like that pride ceremony that you just described, maybe there's some kind of sash or a robe or a cloak or something that everyone gets to put on, to bestow a flower, just something that.
I just got an idea.
Okay, but you know where I'm going with this,
Yeah.
right?
Think of the pride flag.
Yes.
Right? All the colors of the flag.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And so you go to the teen section,
Mm-hmm.
and when you've completed that, we give you a purple sash.
Yeah. See.
And then when you go to the 20,
Mm-hmm.
you get another color.
Yes.
And when you've gone through all the generations,
Mm-hmm.
or all the amplifications of gay,
Yeah.
you now have all the sashes. Of the rainbow.
Mm-hmm. See, it's that. There's something quite powerful.
We need to get sewing.
I know. There's something very powerful in all of that. I mean, we're sitting in my living room, basically. You can't see it; it's off camera. But I've got these 2 tapestries on the wall, and they're from Peru, and they're very magical and colorful and very symbolic. And every culture has these things, and they have meaning. And yeah, we have the rainbow flag and the various flags, but what else could they be?
Yeah.
How else can we really integrate them into our pride ceremonies, our rituals, our declaration of self, etc. Like rings or necklaces, or I don't know.
Remember, some of our folks may not remember this, but during the height of the HIV/AIDS epidemic,
mm-hmm.
we had the national quilt.
Yes.
Right? Where quilt panels were made
mm-hmm.
for people who had crossed over
mm-hmm.
from the genocide of HIV and AIDS.
Yes.
And this became a huge, like it filled Washington Plaza.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What if, just borrowing, and partly as I'm looking at your tapestry here, which is little squares.
Yeah.
But imagine if we started a quilt of life.
Of life.
And each person who kind of went through this ritual had a panel or a square that just had their face.
Oh, wow.
And their day of initiation.
Mm-hmm.
And what if our pride, what if our quilt of life was an amplification of the diversity and the beauty and the magical amplifications of who we are
Yes.
as queer people?
Absolutely. See, it's because there's something, because that image, just having that quilt, very powerful.
Yeah.
So powerful. Because it was this visual thing that stimulated emotion and feeling and remembrance, etc. Why not do the same for the celebration of life while living?
Yeah.
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 And to invoke that same emotional connection, really.
Yeah. Well, you and I have talked quite a bit today about this topic in relationship to pride, and we've just been brainstorming.
We're just brainstorming, these are just ideas that just been flowing through our heads.
and so, I mean, as part of a community conversation, I would love to hear what our listeners would do with this.
Yeah.
Like, one magical piece I know about queer folks is we are highly creative.
Mm-hmm.
We love pageantry. And I'm thinking, I'm sure we have listeners who would have these amazing ideas. Imagine if our listeners, wherever they're hearing this podcast, where they sit, like, we know we have listeners in Malaysia. We know we have listeners in England and Europe. We know we have listeners in different parts of the States. Could you, I wonder what these satellite pride rituals could look like.
Yeah. How would you reimagine pride? That's just the thing that just popped in my head. How would you reimagine pride? And what creative piece could you offer, as part of that celebration and recognition and reimagining?
Yeah. All of this is absent of capitalism. One thing I was thinking as we were talking is, we honor the donors. and I appreciate people donating and helping out the community that way, but it's so easy to write a check, especially if you have a pocket full of money.
Yeah.
Right? It's another thing to step into the cauldron of the work. And and all these ideas, frankly, don't evolve anything but showing up.
Just showing up.
And I would love for us to, one thing that you and I have been teasing is I would love for us to create like a mindfully gay award or honoring and to identify people in the community, for instance, who are kind of like the unsung heroes.
Yeah.
I know people, for instance, who have been part of HIV testing at the Utah AIDS Foundation, which is now the Utah Health Legacy. They've been volunteering in those positions for 20 years.
Right.
People have volunteered at the community centers. People who are in the trenches working that don't perhaps ever get noticed.
Right.
I would love for us to create some kind of an honoring that says, hey, we see you. We see your magic.
Yes. Yeah. That's what it is.
So, okay, so we have 2 rituals to come up with. An award. Maybe we add like an Atlantis cruise to the award. I'm just thinking big.
We got to think big. We step out of the box. Right?
Because I really do believe this. Like, if there's an idea that's meant to be, it will find its manifestation. And so you put it out there. And somebody may show up and say, I want to support this, or I want to be a part of this, or let me take your idea to this next stage.
Yes.
Again, that's the beauty of who we are. We get it. So there, I'm done.
So in this continuation of the celebration of Pride, again, we're just kind of putting it out there. We're just brainstorming here, just getting some ideas out in the open and seeing how it manifests. But continue to celebrate Pride in this wonderful time of the year, and give us your feedback. go to our website, mindfullygay.com. Check us out on the socials. And of course, you can leave your comments there and tell us what you think. So that's, TikTok. So that's mindfully gay, correct? At mindfully gay. Instagram, mindfully_gay. Where else are we?
Or what? Did you do the website?
So the website, mindfullygay.com. Just
Instagram, TikTok, Facebook,
Mindfully Gay Guys. And, and if you're watching us, we're on YouTube. But if you're also listening to us, we're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible. We're kind of all over the platforms.
We're on Grindr.
And if you see us out in the community, come out and say hi.
I have sent our link. Like today, I had a couple people text me on Scruff or Grindr, and I'm like, "Oh, well, I'm kind of busy because I'm going to go do this podcast. What's your podcast?" And I sent them the link. And they're like,
"There you go."
Yeah. So there you go.
There you go. All right. Well, that does it for this episode. And continue to enjoy your pride. And we will see you next time.
Thank you for tuning into this episode of the Mindfully Gay podcast. If you enjoyed our conversation today, please remember to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. This way you won't miss out on any of our upcoming episodes where we continue to explore fascinating topics and share meaningful stories. Your support means the world to us. See you in the next episode.